Hey, what's up everyone, Raging Golden Eagle here, having way too much fun as always. And I guess I gotta make it up to you guys for the previous video. Yeah, I guess it was technically good news, but I kind of just used that as a way for me to take a few shots at the ESA. But this time, however, nothing but good news, trust me. Kingdom Come Deliverance not only sold about 500,000 copies in its first 2 days, but now it's definitely 1 million or more. And I know what you guys are thinking. Well, what's the big deal? A good game by a small studio selling a lot? Not exactly the first time that's happened, but there's something a little special about this case I'd like to get into. But first off, why is the background video of Blade and Soul instead of Kingdom Come Deliverance? Funny enough, I did buy the game, but then my video card died. So even though I want to, I can't be playing it right now anyway. But the character designs in Blade and Soul are a whole lot better, so just enjoy looking at that instead. But back to the topic, what makes the success of Kingdom Come Deliverance extra special was that the SJW-infested games media was actively campaigning against it. And this goes back for a while too. They've been butthurt with Warhorse Studios since one of their main developers came out in support of Gamergate a while ago. But then things got extra insane when you got these drama rags masquerading as games journalism sites, trying to stir shit up and claiming that this game based in medieval Eastern Europe isn't diverse enough and doesn't have enough representation. And thankfully, the developers who have made known that they were going for historical accuracy here did not back down. They were not willing to rewrite history just to protect the fifis of a few modern SJWs. Funny enough, in this case specifically, modern American SJWs. It's kind of funny when you think about it that way, isn't it? You got a small group of elitist American SJWs trying to force their views based on their cultural norms on Eastern European indie game studios. Isn't that pretty much imperialism here? Isn't that what the SJWs always whine about? Well, I guess it's okay when they do it, right? Isn't that how it always is with double standards? You can't do it, but it's fine when I do it. It's perfectly fine when I try to force my own subjective values on the entire rest of the planet, but it's hateful when the rest of the planet does it back to me. I see how it is. And can you imagine if they tried to pull this a little bit differently? How about if someone made a historically accurate game based in Africa? Pre-white colonization anyway. Or better yet, based on some African mythology. Do you think it would be acceptable for people to demand that there be more representation? Well, there's not enough white people and Asians and Native Americans in here, what the hell? We gotta get at least a few Hispanics in this game, don't you think? Historical accuracy is no excuse for your bigotry after all. Who am I kidding? We all know that's never gonna happen. We can even see it now with the Black Panther movie. Not only are they not holding that movie to the same standards as others, but they are actively celebrating the very things that they complain when other people do. But I'm sure you're all very much aware of SJW double standards by now. No need to harp on that for any more than necessary. Back to the original topic, this is why it's so important that Kingdom Come Deliverance is just doing excellent, becoming profitable in the first 2 or 3 days it was on sale. Because this game was able to achieve that feat despite having so much of the game media against it. A few sites even flat out refused to cover the game because they were so butthurt that the developers dared stand to their principles and say, no, we're going for historical accuracy here. You can take your fifis and shove them up your ass. If this doesn't show exactly how little power the SJWs actually have over the game industry, then at this point, I don't know what will. But again, this shouldn't be news to any of you guys listening to my videos. We know this already. But for whatever reason, the game industry itself seems to be intent on not recognizing this. They are sticking their heads in the sand and honestly being willfully ignorant. Though hopefully things will be changing for the better in the future, because it looks like a lot of these companies are finally starting to figure out how social media works. And in this case, what I specifically mean by that is that with social media, you can pretty much have a mere 20 unemployed people with nothing better to do all day, just spamming a hashtag over and over again and making it look like it's something big. But it's not. Oh, but it might be, Okay, it might be. But you know what you can't argue with? Money. Money in the pocket from actual customers buying your product. What do you know? You give the customers what they want, and they'll pay you for it. And no amount of virtue signaling is gonna stop them either. Especially when you got all these boycott threads coming from people that wouldn't have bought the game anyway. Who would have guessed that you have to actually be a customer in the first place before a boycott can be effective, huh? And this is why you sometimes see me in the comment section of some videos saying something along the lines of, "Oh, I'd totally help you with your boycott of this, but I wasn't buying this crap to begin with, so it's not like I can help there." I'm at least being honest about it up front. I support what you're doing, but I can't help because I wasn't buying that crap in the first place. For instance, every time EA and Ubisoft pull some shit and the calls for a boycott start, I have to point out that I haven't bought a game from either of those publishers in years. I haven't touched an Ubisoft game since they started requiring Uplay, and pretty much the same thing with EA for Origin. Last EA game I remember buying is their little remake of SSX, and that's it. That's the last one. Can't even remember the last Ubisoft game I got. Oh, wait, that one was probably actually the Stick of Truth. But I don't even count that as an Ubisoft game. They just kind of inherited it after the fact and they didn't have time to force Uplay on it. So yeah, game industry, learn from this, alright? Especially the AAA industry that seems to be intent on committing suicide. If you fail to give your actual customers what they want, and instead try to appease some non-customers when they're virtue signaling, what's gonna happen is no one's gonna buy your crap anymore, and people are just gonna turn to indies and small studios for games like Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you guys don't want to give us what we want, we're gonna get it from somebody else. As long as there's enough of us willing to crack open our wallets, there's gonna be some intelligent entrepreneurs out there that see there is still a market for this stuff, and we can be cashing in. And I know this is a pretty touchy example, but just look at Star Citizen. For the longest time, nobody gave a shit about those 4X space games, on the publisher and developer side rather, not on the customer side obviously. Then all of a sudden, how many different successful Kickstarter for those space simulators did we see? How many millions of dollars have gone into Star Citizen so far? I mean, whether or not it was worth it or not is a different debate, but right now I'm only making that point to show, look, there is a lot of demand for this, and you guys refuse to give it to us because you are too busy trying to push either your own agendas or try to appease people who aren't your customers and never will be. But that's fine. As Kingdom Come Deliverance shows, if the AAA industry doesn't want to give us what we want, we'll just get it from the small studios and indies instead. And if the AAA industry doesn't give us what we want for long enough, then the small studios and indies that we turn to will soon become the new AAA industry. And that's all I gotta say, guys. Thanks for listening.